Here's a story that should be told at this time of the year. A story about the fate of the souls of the dead and the corruption of the souls of the living. A story about the abuse of power and the courage to stand up against the forces of darkness and against wickedness in high places. Our story begins more than 5 centuries ago, in the year 1517. The world had not yet fully recovered from the plague of the Black Death, when a lone man approached the door of an old church in the city of Wittenberg, with a hammer in one hand and a nail in the other. It was the 31st day of October. The man was the German monk, Martin Luther. He had come to nail his complaints to the chapel door, and the sound of that hammer on that day still echoes down throughout the years. His complaint was against the corruption of the church. Among other things, they promised salvation for the dead in exchange for money, and forgiveness of sins for the living in exchange for gold and silver. All the while, the leaders of the church lived lives of secret vice and extravagance far beyond the means of the common members, and all of it funded by the poor sheep of their flock. But it was a dangerous thing in those days to defy the authority of the Pope and the traditions of the church. But when asked to recant his criticisms, Martin Luther responded boldly that if he did so, he would do nothing but add strength to tyranny and open not just the windows but also the doors to this great ungodliness. His response was his death sentence. The Pope issued a decree for his arrest and punishment, but Martin Luther was rescued by Prince Frederick the Wise and kept in hiding at Wittenberg Castle. There he worked on a common language translation of the Bible, a crime also punishable by death at the time. We owe a debt of gratitude to Martin Luther for his courage. He began the Reformation and sowed some of the first seeds of religious freedom.